Arcanum. Arcanum is a multiplayer PvP VR game where players utilize gesture-based casting to cast powerful magic spells at their opponents. Players will be loaded into a VR environment where they will be given options to choose from. They will be told how to cast certain spells, such as this teleportation spell, which is pivotal for understanding the movement of Arcanum. When a player teleports to the dojo, they can go and practice their spells. All they have to do is touch the portal of the pillar that they have teleported to, and they will be teleported to a new area. In the dojo, they will then have to proceed to teleport to the next pillar, further implementing and practicing that teleportation logic. And then finally, they can go ahead and choose their element that they wish to practice. As Arcanum strives to be an immersive experience, we have opted out of using classical input such as key presses and button presses for player interaction and input. Rather, we use a gesture-based system where everything is done using grip input as well as physical hand movement. This is supported by the Mivri plugin that allows us to record multiple gestures and bring them into Unity, which allowed us to create a framework to cast gestures. Once a gesture is cast using the Mivri framework, as well as our own gesture event processor, it allows us to spawn in spells over the network as well as locally on the client. This is done through Unity's netcode, where the netcode ties hand in hand with the gesture system, allowing for a seamless experience of casting spells over a network and using them against your multiplayer opponents. Gestures are recorded multiple times to assure accuracy in the gesture cast, making it easy for the player to learn. These animations showcased here are showcased in the dojo, allowing players to see what the gesture should look like in order for them to cast it. This will be accompanied by a spirit guide and dialogue. Moving forward in the dojo, players will be presented with displays. These displays display the element that they have selected. Specifically, it displays the offensive as well as the defensive spell. Each element will have either an offensive or defensive spell. The defensive spell acts as a barrier that blocks other incoming spells. Depending on the element, the walls will have different effects, such as when a fire shot is sent through a firewall that is owned to the same player, it will increase the damage as well as light the pillar on fire when it comes into contact with it. Each spell will have an environmental effect such as that, whereas stone, for example, would destroy a pillar. Once the player practices both their offensive and defensive spells, they can go and learn other elements. They're going to need to practice all the different elements to understand how they work and the benefits and disadvantages of using each of them, such as air. Air shoots faster than fire, but it deals less damage. It has more ammo, but it deals less damage. It's also slightly easier to cast. Each element has a specific set of circumstances to allow for balancing. This will be polished over time through more player interaction and play testing. Once a player feels as though they have learned everything they need to learn from the dojo, they will be able to teleport back to the main area. Once they leave this area, they are teleported back to the start, where they can then teleport up to the arena. The arena contains the matchmaking area, so same as before, they would just have to touch the door and it would take them to the matchmaking area. This area showcases a room full of doors. All these doors represent a lobby. If there is an open lobby, the name above the door will be displayed as a different name. The player is able to grab a little ball and rotate it around, as well as throw the ball at the ground to create a lobby. Players can also throw the ball at a door that has a name above its head to join a lobby. Once they start joining, they will be met with cosmic turbulence, is what we are calling it currently. But as they are waiting in this teleportation realm, they are actually being connected over Unity Relays, which allows players to connect between PCs without the need of port forwarding. We used Unity Lobbies and Unity Relays to handle the interaction of connecting players. Once both players are readied up, they will go ahead and press their respective ready buttons. After pressing their respective ready buttons, they will have elements spawn around them. If they touch an element, that's the one they attune to for the game. And as you just saw, there was a massive Jumbotron that just entered the arena, kinda like the ones you see at basketball games. The Jumbotron idea was inspired to have more integrated UI and create another aspect that the player needs to manage in order to be competitive. The player must look up at the Jumbotron to see what health they currently have. The Jumbotron represents the current game state, or the match manager, where the match manager manages the health of each player, and once a player's health reaches 0, the round ends and their score increments. Once in the game, players will cast the spells that they have practiced in the arena, and they will slowly learn how to manage their health. The Jumbotron is a big key feature, and it ensures a stable game loop within Arcanum. As you have seen, players must manage themselves wisely, otherwise, if they miss one spell, that could be the round for them, and they have disappointed their elemental overlords who they are representing.